Who is your favorite mixed martial artist and why?
Jon Jones. That was just like my era growing up. I just watched Jon Jones. And he's the greatest fighter of all time, in my opinion.
Well, I will tell you.
I don't even have to explain why. I know you know Jon Jones.
I met Jon Jones. The first time I met Jon Jones, he just came into the UFC. He was 2-0, and I met him.
That was after 8 months of training.
I met him upstate at a casino. He was at an event that I was actually my buddy was fighting in, and he was there. You know, he was a spokesman for the UFC and everything like that. And I saw him at the casino. So I was talking to a bunch of people. I said, Jon Jones is here, blah, 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 blah. He says, yeah, he's upstairs. He's on the second floor. I go upstairs to the second floor, and there are the kids, the guys that are, you know, fighters and the amateur fighters, they wanted to see how long he was. So he bet people. He said, I'll put $50 in a cup on top of your head. If I could kick it off you put $50 on the top of your head. If I could kick it off your head without touching your head, I get to keep the $50. Do you know that 7 or 8 kids put $50 in a cup and he kicked all of them off their head? And I'm telling you, everybody tells you how long he is. You're talking about almost like 7-8 feet, okay? And he was kicking it at will off their heads. He made himself, what was that, like $400, $500 doing nothing by doing back kicks, front kicks, you name it. He was kicking off the head. I wouldn't do it because I would be afraid he'd miss and kick me in the head, so I wouldn't do it. So, but these kids didn't believe it, and that was the first time I met Jon Jones. He became the superstar that he became, and honestly believe the fight was paid off. I don't think he sunk the guillotine like everybody thinks he did.
That guillotine he put on Cyril.
Yeah, he didn't really lock it.
Look at the guillotine he put on Lyoto Machida. It didn't look like it was in, but
he put it when he had Lyoto Machida. He had it locked, and he had it under his neck.
You can't say it's pain. You got to think of the force people apply. I've seen Khabib choke people out, not even under the neck, just by the chin. Cyril could have tapped from the pressure being applied to his chin.
No question.
That was from the palm.
There's many ways to lock your hands on a guillotine. If you watch the lock of the guillotine, he grabbed his thumb and put his hand under his neck and locked it with his thumb. You're talking about a guy that is a very strong heavyweight and has never been choked out before in his career. So to do something like that, and he didn't, and I honestly, I didn't see that much weight pressed on his neck when he did it.
After Jon took him to the ground, Sarah probably felt that strain. Like how you see fighters feel that strain from Khabib. Sarah probably felt that strain. He doesn't really go to the ground. I think in the Ngannou fight, didn't Ngannou try to take him down?
Yes.
They were on the ground for
yes.
half a round.
Yes.
And he got up his gas. He's like that wrestling and boxing. I feel like it's two different things.
Oh, 100%. I trained. I have a black belt in judo. I have a black belt in kempo.
I got it.
Yeah, and
you can really whoop someone's ass.
I was a pretty good fighter. I was a boxer too. I boxed. I was an amateur fighter. I did. I was almost 11 and a half years of judo when I was a kid, and kempo. My parents wanted me to protect myself because I went to school in Brooklyn. So I learned a lot about tossing people and controlling people, and I wrestled a couple of years in high school. So I had the opportunity. What got you in? What made you fall in love with the mixed martial arts world? Is there a particular, besides Jon Jones, but was there a particular fighter that you saw before Jon Jones that really pressed you to say, I want to learn how to do it. I love this sport.
I never really got into it until I came to college and started taking like Muay Thai classes and stuff. Taking classes is very expensive.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. Very expensive.
I got to college, I started taking like Muay Thai and like jiu-jitsu classes. Like every once in a while, probably like in the month of May I'll do it. But what got me into it, I really don't know. Probably just as a kid, like the violence of UFC, honestly, like it's a violent sport. I mean, those guys were, I just looked at them and those guys are like a superhero figure in my head. Those are some tough and effort. You got to think Chuck Liddell, Anderson Silva in his prime was crazy. Like,
oh yeah,
Pride.
I
got to witness prime Anderson Silva. Like he was crazy, like a different level. And then guys like Lyoto Machida, Lyoto was crazy work. Dragon was crazy, and then even like the old timers, like guys like Uriah Faber, he had like a charisma to him. Like some of those guys would sell their story good enough to make you actually enjoy watching the fight. And the funny story is, Forrest Griffin started off as a Athens UGA police
officer. Yep.
That's it. I did not know that until I went golfing a couple weeks ago, and the guys told me that. I mean, just
him and may rest in peace, Stephen Bonner. Was another guy. Stephen Bonner used to work as a register man at a supermarket.